it's Waltech again. Got another video today. I made a eBay PC for under $100. This was a while ago. This build is a bit outdated, even though it was even at the time I made it, but it's even more outdated now. Still gonna run it through the benchmarks, gonna run through you with the parts. It's a LG A775 platform by Intel, so yeah, it is that old. Their oldest quad cores they have. Run through the parts. I'll give you a list right now. I got 6 gigs of DDR3 that I picked up for $12 on eBay. I picked up a motherboard from a pre-built Dell for 15 bucks on eBay. I got a Q9400 for $12. I got, this is the only thing I didn't buy used. I got a good deal on Amazon Lightning Deals for a $26 power supply unit from EVGA. I was able to get a $25 GTX 660, $10 hard drive, which, I mean, doesn't run too good, but the only thing I recommend you don't buy used, don't go with a power supply. You'll fry the parts and it's just not a good deal at all. The case was actually from a really old pre-built that's been passed around maybe 7 times within my family, and I was the last one to end up with it, and I decided it just wasn't good. It had a socket 478 in it from the old Pentium 4s, you know, really fast stuff, at least for its time. Yeah, we had to definitely change that out now. It's the future. So I benchmarked this thing. I wanted to see how does it do in 2023, and for that amount of money, how does it do in general, right? I mean, kind of cheap, really cheap. I mean, you know, you can't buy a console for that usually. So let's get into the benchmarks and see how it did. So the first benchmark is going to be on 3D Mark. I mean, really just the best way to get a solid result from a PC. It's pretty universal, you can test it on most things. I would say the results came out pretty decent. Obviously way slower than anything you'd have in modern day that was built for like $500, $600, but the score is not too shabby. I'm pretty happy with it actually. Next game we decided to take a crack at was the 2013 Tomb Raider game on high settings in 1080p. I'm really impressed with this computer on this game. I mean, just look at how beautiful that is. For $100 and being an older PC that I built, and just the parts being old even when I built it, just performed pretty darn well. I can really get behind gaming on this PC for especially games made around 2014 era. Just look at it. I could happily game with this. And those stats are pretty darn good as well. Getting anywhere near 100 on the average is pretty awesome. Now, when bringing in the 2018 title, that's where I started to see this PC start to choke a bit. We tried Shadow of the Tomb Raider, and still the imagery is beautiful. These were medium settings at 1080p, but oh gosh dang, if I said it ran smooth, that would be a massive exaggeration. Just a straight up lie if I'm honest. This did not run very well at all, and the stats were very poor as you can see. But I still have hope for the future benchmarks, so let's keep moving. Just Cause 2 on the high ultra settings at 1080p for the Concrete Jungle benchmark was the next one that we decided to run. I mean, this looks so good for this card and this processor. I really have to give it to Square Enix. I don't know how they make things so well optimized for older hardware to look so beautiful, but they just do a fantastic job. And this ran beautifully. Just look for yourself. The next one in store is Dirt Rally, a actually more recent Dirt release, and this is actually going to show us how good these parts can do closer to the time era. But just as I'm looking at this 1080p on high settings for a more recent game, I know I keep saying this, but it looks so good. I really can't believe how well these parts have dated, because think of how old they are. The 660 is so old, and the Q9400 I believe is even older. And just look at how well this game is running. It looks fantastic. I'm really blown away by this being $100 even now, really, because it's playing better than any console I could ever get for $100. It looks fantastic. And look at the stats. Wow. The next game we have is actually a way newer title and quite graphically intensive, and Deus, Mankind Divided. I hope I pronounced that right, but this game is absolutely gorgeous, especially on hardware that's really suited for it. We had to run this on low settings at 1080p, and surprisingly the 660 and the Q9400 actually could handle this to a playable degree. I mean, if you're watching it, you can tell for yourself it might not look fantastic, but it surely doesn't look bad at all. This is a very playable experience, and I'm really happy to see this thing can actually play even some recent titles. The next game I decided to give a try for its benchmarking purpose is RCU Origins. Not too bad looking. This game's a bit older than the others on the list, but still beautifully made. We got some pretty great results here. If you're a fan of definitely games that were made, I would say more in the golden era of PC gaming, you'd definitely be happy with a PC like this. If you can source the parts for around the same price, I still think these are worth building. In fact, from looking at all that I have present here. So, it's 2023. If I'm doing benchmarks, it wouldn't even make sense not to have this game in it. This is Fortnite Battle Royale. It does not run very well on this computer. Most of the blame is due to the processors. You can see up there it's kind of crazy bad on this thing. It is maxing it out the whole time. No matter how I really changed the graphics settings, it just did. However, the card was really underutilized in this scenario. I think if you had a better processor and kept this card, it can actually do pretty darn good with this game. I will be interested to see that in the future. Maybe I'll highlight this card not with this computer. But yeah, still playable, very jittery. I wouldn't say it's playable for me, but depends on the kind of person you are. This is bad even for me though. I would not recommend it. And yeah, that's all for today, guys. Please like, subscribe, and share if you want to see more videos. That's the only way it keeps me going. Have a good one.